Just as the church was beginning to heal, a new announcement came. Pastor Ezekiel stood before the congregation once again. In a few weeks, he said, our leadership team will be attending an international leadership summit. He paused. In Tulsa. Murmurs spread. This is not just a trip, he continued. It is a confrontation with truth, with responsibility, and with what leadership really means. Michael nodded quietly. This includes, the pastor added, choir leaders, service heads, and selected members who passed the Reformation. Amara, Tonia, even a few quiet, once overlooked workers. But Vivian? She wasn't on the list. After service, Vivian sat alone at the back of the empty church. She watched others talk about Tulsa, about leadership, about growth. Tears rolled down her face. For the first time, she whispered to herself, I'm not chosen. Footsteps approached. It was Michael. You're still here, he said. I thought being good at what I do was enough, she replied. Michael shook his head gently. In the world, maybe, he said. But here, who you are matters more than what you can do. Vivian looked up. So what do I do now? Michael paused. You start where real leaders begin. With humility when no one is watching. Weeks later, the team arrived in Tulsa. A massive gathering. Different churches. Different leaders. Same problem. During one session, a speaker said something that struck deeply. The greatest damage in the church is not from outsiders, but from leaders who forget they are examples. Amara lowered her head. Tonia closed her eyes. Michael didn't move. Then another line came. People may not read the Bible, but they will read you. Silence filled the hall. Because suddenly, their story wasn't unique. It was global. On the last day of the summit, something unexpected happened. Participants were asked to write down one life that was affected by your behavior. Amara froze. Then she remembered. A younger chorister who stopped showing up. Tonia remembered. A friend she had influenced into chasing appearance over purpose. Michael remembered. His past and the people he once misled. Even Pastor Ezekiel sat still for a long time. Then slowly, he wrote, My son, Daniel. The room faded around him, because the biggest truth hit him. While he was leading a church, he had lost leadership at home. When they returned from Tulsa, everything changed again. Not through rules, but through understanding. Pastor Ezekiel gathered the entire church, every department, choir, ushers, media, protocol. No more performance Christianity, he said. No more hidden lives. No more leadership without accountability. Then he said it clearly. If you stand here, you represent God to someone. Just when things seemed settled, a familiar figure walked into the church one evening. Daniel. The room froze. No confidence. No charm. No control. Just brokenness. I want to start again, he said quietly. No one spoke. Not Amara. Not Tonia. Not even Michael. Pastor Ezekiel looked at him, not as a pastor, but as a father. Then you will start, he said slowly, like everyone else did. From the bottom. Months later, the choir stood again, not as stars, not as competitors, but as servants who understood the weight of the altar. Vivian sat in the congregation, no longer bitter, but growing. Daniel was in training, silent, learning. Amara sang, not to impress, but to connect. Tonia led quietly, with sincerity. And Michael, watching, guarding the standard. Final revelation of the entire story. The lesson that shook the Elevation House, and even reached Tulsa, was simple, but powerful. Service in church is not a position. It is a calling. Leadership is not about being seen. It is about being followed, rightly. And whether you know it or not, someone is learning God by watching your life.